The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Jason, good afternoon. You're in the game.
How about you, Ryan?
Busy day, but I'm good. I'm good to have you a part of the game.
Don't you just love the drama? We got us some drama in April because we got a helicopter dad.
Sure.
Got ultimatums between the lines.
We're drawing the line in the sand.
But what previous callers have said, and even what Coach Hurts said, Jalen put himself in this situation. He's had 2 years to remove any doubt that he's the starter. You're the guy. 2 years as the starting quarterback to make it his job for 4 years. No questions asked. No doubt. You can come and compete, but I'm the man, and you're going to have to wait your turn, and you're the backup. So I know everybody's got their knickers in a bunch here, but that's it in a nutshell. You had your opportunity to do this, and if you can't do it, do you think you're going to do it somewhere else if you go?
Well,
if you decide, I don't get the job, I'm going to go. I'm a free agent. Biscuit Bruce, this is the best college football program in the country. You've got the best around you. And there's 2 years into this, there's doubt. And I know what happened in the national championship game and all that, but we're talking about games throughout the season. You've had your opportunity to say, oh, yeah, that's my job. And you can't take it. And like you've said, Coach Saban's been more than patient, more than supportive. So either win the job.
But now hold on, Jason. And I'm just trying to add this together. This article came out today, this morning at 10 o'clock.
It was a chess move.
Okay, but now time out. And I'm just talking this out with you.
Sure.
Nick Saban said on Saturday probably one of the most critical statements that I've heard him make on Jalen Hurts. You want me to play it? Because we've played it several times here on this program with Nick Saban talking about Jalen Hurts. I thought it was the most critical comment. We'll play it after your call. How about that? But it's Nick Saban saying that he's got to utilize the teammates around him and don't just bail out and run. That wait till the play breaks down, then use your athletic ability. But go through the progressions.
Part of that is the type of football he's been in all his life. Part of that is not progressing mentally in the game. But you've got, something I heard, and this goes back to pro football. I'm going to use this as an example, talking about quarterbacks. I'm paying you to put the ball in the hands of these other athletes that I'm paying millions of dollars to do their thing. I'm paying this wide receiver lots of money for you to get the ball in his hands and let him do what he's supposed to do. I'm paying this running back a lot of money for you to turn around and hand the ball to him and let him do his thing. And I need you to stand in there and be the quarterback leader and do that. Now, I'm not going to talk about the quarterback that was the discussion, but I think we all know who he is. But you're exactly right. The progression is not there. It's take off and run. And he's a product of the type of football that he played or has played growing up, the type of football that's predominant now, especially in the state of Texas, in high school football, where chances are he's the best athlete on the field anyway. And you got a one read, then take off. Do your thing. That's not what we do here. It's not college football. There are programs that do that, but I don't see any of them winning national championships. I don't see them consistently in the top 5 winning and competing. But like I said, you've had your opportunity. If you can't win the job in 2 years and make it yours and say, that's it, it's mine, there's nobody else, you're going to stand and wait. You know, to use an expression we use, or I use, you know, fish or cut bait. Which one are you going to do?
Well, I mean, it took, to me, I thought Nick Saban, because Nick Saban was 30 minutes away from losing his second championship in a row with a quarterback that just could not get the job done. But I think 30 minutes, and we're talking about Nick Saban that we think right now is untouchable, would have been touchable, because I think Nick Saban would have been raked across the coals because he was really, I think he would have been scrutinized for being too patient with Jalen Hurts. I mean, if he goes down with flames and Georgia runs Alabama out of that Coliseum, then we're sitting here going, man, I mean, he gave too much flexibility.
We can take it out of the national championship game. We can take it back to the Iron Bowl. We can take it back to other games.
Well, you're great point.
Do we need to make the change now? You know, it's not working. We've given, you know, we've been patient. We've tried it. We've tried. We've stood here. We've given him the package. We've done all this. We've done that. It's not happening. You know, what do we got to do? Well, we're trying to win the game, so we got to make a change. We got to do what works for us.
Great point. Jason, anything else, sir?
Shout out to Chris Stewart. I hope he's doing well. And hope your mom's recovering well, too.
She is. Thank you for asking, and certainly getting positive news from around Chris. Hopefully we'll be able to pass something on as we move throughout the day. Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Jason in Tuscaloosa. Let's go to David in Tampa. David, good afternoon. You are in the game.
Hey, Ryan. Busy show today.
It's just kind of running itself today. I don't know. We're just kind of facilitating these. I mean, the phone lines have been a complete meltdown, but you got the number one story in college football, and it involves a local product. That's when we're talking about it.
Yeah. Hey, that's why I called. I wanted to chime in on it. You know, I looked at the comments that his father made, and I think if you take it at face value, he sounds a little bit like a stage mom or a helicopter parent, you know, whatever you want to call it. But here's the thing about that article. We don't have there's no context. So you don't know how he actually meant it. You know, you don't know if he was, you know, throwing out an ultimatum or he was just saying, I sat down and talked to Jalen. Jalen really, you know, he really wants to play quarterback somewhere. And, you know, he's, you know, thinking that, you know, this or that. The other thing is we don't even know if this represents what Jalen's thinking. This is what a dad said. And, you know, by the way, even the comment where he said, I think one of your earlier callers, you know, kind of jumped on it too, you know, how do you tell your son you effed up? I mean, he's out there doing the best he can. He's competing his ass off. And to come back and say that, you know, I just, you know, I wouldn't be talking like that to my son. But here's what I want to say. You know, I saw a guy on Twitter, and immediately, if he transfers, he's a bad teammate. And to me, we need to stop looking at this through our own eyes and look at it through Jalen's eyes. And so I want to kind of present an alternate point of view here.
Okay.
Let's just say this. Let's just say that, you know, maybe Jalen's done some introspective, you know, looking, and maybe he's come to a realization that, you know, he knows that his quarterback days are limited. He's not going to be a quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying maybe he's come to this realization that he really loves playing college football and he really loves playing quarterback. And it's kind of like Tebow. Tebow could be in the NFL if he wanted to, just not as a quarterback. But he didn't want to play anything but quarterback. And maybe Jalen's the same way. I just want to play quarterback. And, you know, as much as I love Alabama, my desire to at least get my 2 years of eligibility, you know, out there on the field playing quarterback is more important to me than staying at Alabama and being a backup or trying to change positions. For all we know, he doesn't even want to play in the NFL. But how can you blame a 19-year-old kid that's chasing his dream, and if that dream is to play quarterback, I mean, more power to you, brother. If you leave, you know, I know you'll do it in the right way. He probably won't pull a Barnett and leave 4 games into the season and leave the team hanging. That I can't get on board with that. But just because Jalen wants to transfer because he wants to play quarterback, I don't think that's a bad thing. And I'm not so sure that his dad was throwing out an ultimatum there. Maybe he was, but, think of it from, the context of the conversations, which we have no insight into.
Sure. Well, and I think this is, as I think Red was the first one, and we've had several people that have reminded us, this is not Jalen talking, this is his father talking. And
right.
I don't know if they'll run Jalen out in front of the media. Don't think that will happen, but we'll see. But you know how Jalen can quieten all this mess out? I mean, he can look at his father, and every now and then I've been wanting to tell my dad, he's been gone for many years. Shh, let me take care of this. Let Jalen go out and have just an outstanding A-Day. Epic. I mean, go out and throw for 350 yards or 250 yards or whatever, and put up a day, and then, we could all talk about him being the starting quarterback. And then maybe this conversation goes down a few notches. Yeah.
I mean, one more thing I'd like to add to that as well is the reaction from his teammates. I guarantee you, people act like he's lost the locker room and doesn't have any friends on the team. That's crap. I mean, this is a good kid. He has given, he's given everything he's had to, left it out there on the field. He's taken hits. I mean, you couldn't convince me of anything where he doesn't have any friends and there are people that care about him. And I guarantee you, I mean, these players have seen, teammates come and go. And I don't know that I've read, at least through Twitter or anything I've seen on the internet, where players begrudge players for looking out for themselves and trying to do what's best for them. And if that leads to a transfer, I don't see anything but support from these guys. At least that's how it seems to me in the past.
Well, I think there's been some players that have been frustrated, but I tell you one thing, they've always said the right thing when the opportunity came to them where they've got the mic. There's been some things that have been said in the behind that maybe is not as much positive, but they have not went out and put their bad laundry out in the media like Jalen's father has done.
Yeah, and that's a credit to them, and that's how they should be. And I get, if you want to analyze like Ridley's situation, you could, the thoughts occurred to me that, the situation at quarterback is going to cost Ridley a couple $1 million. I mean, that's a possibility.
It is a strong possibility. Sure.
Yeah.
One week from today, we'll find out.
Yeah, we will. Anyways, that's all I wanted to add, Ryan. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you, David, in Tampa, Florida, listening to us on Tide1029.com. Cornbread, good afternoon. You're in the game.
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm having a good day. I hope you are too.
I am. Thank you. I seen where Nick Saban, I seen an article where he was one of the 50th greatest leaders in the world. Have you seen that?
The Fortune magazine put him at number 12, 50 greatest leaders in the world.
Wow. Well, you know what one of the traits of a great leader is.
He has to make difficult decisions.
And now you think about Nick Saban, a great leader never lets one problem become two. So I would like to say to Jalen Hurts' father, tread lightly, brother. Tread lightly on this one. You don't want to go there. But I'm going to go ahead and drop this bug in your ear.
Okay.
Alabama's got 2 quarterbacks coming in next year that's got stronger arms than Jalen. So, I don't know. It's just out there. The worst thing in the world happened to Jalen, and I'll take part of the blame. His freshman year, he come in there and set the woods on fire. And SEC Player of the Year, and then his sophomore year, when defensive coordinators got game film on him, it kind of changed. It's Ryan. You got to make them first and second down passes. If you don't, the odds of you making a third down pass is slim. It's slim, and that's what Jalen ran into this year. And you got to have that arm. It's if people cannot see, and I'm not bashing nobody for crying out loud, but if you can't see the difference in Tua's arm and Jalen's arm, that's not my problem. It's not Ryan Fowler's problem. It's not Biscuit's problem. It's not our problem that you don't see it. Good night. I mean, this, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. Jalen probably will transfer if he's going to play quarterback. If he's going to play quarterback next year for a team, and I want to wish him well. He's a great man. But there's going to be a handful of people, and I know you hear it, and everybody wants to walk on next year. There's going to be a very small handful of people when this goes down that's going to bring up the race card. And for them people, I want to tell you, maybe the battling job at quarterback at Alabama may not be your biggest problem in life. Ryan, y'all have a great day and roll tide, brother.
Cornbread, thank you for your phone call, and I hope that it will not come up, but it might. I don't know how to say it, and hopefully we'll have to address that when it does. JJ, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Roll Tide, Ryan. How are you?
Very busy day in talk radio today.
Well, I agree with him. Number one, it has nothing to do with the race card. Anybody that brings that up, I agree with him 100%. That's about the only time I'm ever going to agree with it, though. Another thing I would like to say about this is that this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to Jalen with his father speaking out this way. All right? Number one, do you think if Coach Stallings had a son that was playing college ball somewhere, that he would say anything like what Jalen's father said?
No, not a chance.
No, exactly. Not a chance. Why? Why would he not say it?
Well, because you interfere with what the head coach is trying to do.
You're right. And he knows it's not his place. Now, if he's trying to take the choice away from Saban, he has failed because the choice was Saban's to start with, and Saban is not going to give up the choice over somebody who's a loudmouth person wanting to get his line behind LeVar Ball as Dad of the Year award. So, the worst thing that could have happened to Jalen. Now, I'm not necessarily a Jalen fan, and I'm not necessarily a Tua fan. I'm a fan of both of them, for that matter, because I don't care who's behind center, we're going to win. Now, 2 or 3 callers ago, you had a guy that said that there are no teams competing for the national championship or in the top 5 or a powerhouse school that has a quarterback that does one read and then take off. One read and then take off. Well, I beg to differ. You know why? Because for the last 2 years, we've made it to the national championship, and that's exactly what we had in the backfield, is a one read and take off, a one read and take off. And we got there, 28-2. When we were there the first year, nobody's saying off with his head. When we got there the second year, people are starting to say off with his head, but only because they had somebody else. We, as Alabama fans, are the most spoiled bunch of people in the entire world. No matter how much we win by, it should have been more. No matter how big we are, it should have been bigger. And no matter how good we are, it's got to be better and continually better and better and better and better. And we are only going to celebrate for 2 seconds before we start criticizing. Continually. Be happy, folks. We've got a great team. We've got the greatest coach. And I hate the day and rue the day that something happens and Coach Saban loses 2 games in a season. 2 games in one season? Oh, my God, are they going to string him up?
No, we're going to send him in Lake Burton.
Exactly. Why? Because we'll turn on you in a heartbeat. When you either number one, don't run the offense we want you to run. Even if you're winning, it doesn't matter. You're not running the right offense because that's the one we want. And then number 2, if you lose 2 games in one season, you're gone. Why is that? Because we have expectations.
And there's nothing wrong with having high expectations, as Coach Stallings always tells us.
It's a bigger problem than high expectations. It's a problem of no one will ever be satisfied with anything. And certainly, that's a great way to constantly improve, but it's not a good way to have your attitude about your entire life all the time, because it makes you a bunch of really angry people and not very fun to be around.
Gotcha. JJ?
I hope that Jalen can get through this, because, like I said, that's the worst thing that could have happened to him. Now, do you think that Coach Saban is going to be able to objectively evaluate everything, considering that Tua's got an injury? Now Jalen has this cloud over his head. I don't think it's going to be completely objective. Now, I know that Saban's going to do his best, but Saban's human just like we are. Everybody's human. He's not going to be able to completely put it out of his mind that there's been this little thread of, he either starts or we walk. Because I think it may go against Jalen.
I think
that's
it can.
Not fair.
I think it can. Sure.
And I don't think it's fair. We're already not fair to Jalen. 28-2 as a starter for the University of Alabama, and he's a bum. Throw him out? Nah, I don't think so.
Gotcha. JJ, thank you, sir.
Have a great day.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of minutes here as we move throughout this afternoon. I mean, the phone lines have been absolutely jammed up. We're trying to squeeze in as many as we possibly can. Bubba, you're next. Good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, bud, nobody's saying that Jalen is a bum and throw him out. And as far as the 28-2, yes, 28-2, the team is 28-2. He had a lot of help with that 28-2. Yeah, Jalen's a great player. He's got a lot of good attributes. But the bottom line, like the cornbread guy said, if you can't see whose arm's better, then that's not nobody's problem but your own. We know who has the better arm. That doesn't mean Jalen's a bum and we want to throw him out. We love Jalen. I'd love to find a spot for him on this team. But the bottom line is he struggled against good defenses, and then people talk about, well, he was one play away from winning a national championship, and he was. But at the same time, since he lost that game, he was a half away from losing back-to-back national championships. So, I mean, there's different ways you can look at things. Jalen's a great kid. I hope he sticks around. But if he wants to go somewhere else because he wants to play quarterback, I don't fault the guy. I wish him well, and I hope he does fantastic. But I don't think nobody's calling him a bum and throwing it out. That's just a little harsh right there and just wrong. I just don't see that at all. But he just struggles when it comes to reading defenses and throwing, like me and you talked about yesterday. It's not his throwing; it's throwing on a consistent basis. Tua is just more consistent. He makes more reads. He hits people on target. He throws them open. Just he's gifted in an area that Jalen is not. Jalen's a gifted runner. Tua's a gifted thrower. Maybe we can implement both of them this year. I'm not sure, but we'll let Saban earn his money and see what he can come up with. But,
I mean, as this article quotes, and one of the SEC coaches said, Nick Saban's in a rough position. He's going to have to make a difficult decision, and I guess that's why they pay him the big bucks. I mean, he has to make difficult decisions every single day.
Well, we went through this once with, was it Mo Smith, who got thrown under the bus by his mom or something? She came out and said, my son's transferring, and when Nick called him in the office, he didn't know what was going on. And then you had Blake Barnett transfer last year. He was just up and gone, so that happened. So I think Nick's just in a position to where, he knows he's got to do something and, do the right thing. And, of course, he's going to get scrutinized with everything that he does. So he's just in a difficult position right now. But, I mean, he'll make the right decision, and the fallout's going to be what it is. Like I said, if Jalen needs to leave, that's fine. I hope he sticks around because we could use his talents. But, like you said, I do think if his dad said all that, he kind of put him in a bad spot because, he's going to be talked to by teammates and just people around the campus and coaches, and he's got to answer these questions that his dad started. So, I mean, I hate that that's the case, but I guess it is what it is at this point. It's like you can't put that bullet back in the gun now that it's been fired, and it'll be talked about all summer.
Sure. Bubba, and I'm sorry, I'm just pushed up against the break, and we've got
That's fine, my friend.
Thank you, Bubba, for your phone call. We'll continue with more phone calls, really talking about the article where Jalen Hurts' father made a quote, and I'll read it to you. Quote, I told Jalen, you effed up. You opened the door and you put yourself in this situation. He told Bleacher Report in an exclusive interview. Now it's up to you to dig yourself out. Well, if we stop right there, then I don't think this conversation is that big. Yeah, I mean, you could talk, well, he shouldn't have said that to his son, but either way, I mean, it's his business the way that he parents him, okay? Forget about that. That's not what we discuss. I mean, we don't give parenting advice. We look at the conversation as a whole. We go into the conversation where it leads in. He said, Coach Saban's job is to do what's best for the team. I have no problem with that. Jalen's father told Bleacher Report, quote, my job is to do what's best for Jalen. And make no mistake, Jalen is a quarterback. He wants to play quarterback. He loves Alabama. He loves Coach Saban and everything about that place. But he wants to play, and he will play. The question is quickly followed up by Matt Hayes and says, what if Jalen doesn't win the job? He is asked. The quote, well, he'd be the biggest free agent in college football history, end quote. That is Jalen's father saying that he will transfer if he's not the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. So we go into the conversation with Bama Bo. Good afternoon, Bama Bo. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. Hey, I'm wondering, what is the payoff for Jalen's dad? Like, that camp, the Hurts camp, has been quiet for 2 years. I mean, publicly anyway. They've not said much. Their son was the starting quarterback. But why would you all of a sudden now, here at the end of spring, come out and make that comment? I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is the payoff. Is it a threat? Is it, I'm going to take my ball and go home with my kid? I mean, what?
Okay, and I'm going to give you've asked me a question. I never try to dodge questions. I try to be as honest with you as I possibly can. This is Ryan's opinion. It's not worth much than what you paid for, but you're asking me my opinion on this. I think this is a counter to what Saban said on Saturday. I really do. When I heard the comment, I was in the room, and I said, man, that is a unique comment to make. Then I backed up a little bit, and I said, wow, that's one right there. That's one right there. And I mean, we could go back and listen to it, but I thought it was ironic. There's no way that this is uncalculated. This has got to be Matt Hayes doesn't drive up to Channelview High School and say, hey, man, I'm going to go from Orlando to Channelview, Texas. What's that, probably 1,000 miles? More than that, maybe? He travels 1,000 miles not knowing that he was going to be able to talk with this Jalen's father? No way. No way.
Mm-mm.
This is calculated. I'm telling you, it has to be. And that's my opinion. I may be wrong, and I'll admit to it if I am, if we find out otherwise. But my opinion on the surface, I think this is a counter move. This is a chess match.
Yeah, that's what. And you know, I don't really understand it, honestly. I mean, he can graduate in December, transfer, and play next year somewhere. And is it a pride thing? I mean, here's what I'm wondering, Ryan. I'm wondering if there's been some kind of meeting, and we may never know. But has there been some kind of meeting where Jalen's dad has said, Saban, where do we stand? Because I can't figure out any other reason other than the press conference Saban had why all of a sudden we'd hear from him. Ain't heard from him in 2 years. And I don't know if they're just if he's wanting to take his ball and go home. Something has happened. Have they started seeing the writing on the wall? Was it because of what Saban said? It's just puzzling me as to why he would say that now. I don't understand it. And to think that Jalen's the one that's got to be in this program and go to school here and hear the people talking about it. And Jalen didn't say it. Jalen's dad said it. You know, and that's kind of sad for Jalen because we don't really know how Jalen feels. And then I'll make one more comment, Ryan. I know you got a billion people, but as far as what his dad said about him effing up, my oldest son made straight A's. My youngest son, not so much. But I realized years ago he wasn't going to make straight A's. And that's okay. As long as he's doing the best of his ability, that's all you can ask for. Why he would get on to him like that, knowing he's doing the best he can, beyond me. So I just throwing that out. I didn't like that too much.
It just, I don't even really know what to even, I mean, there's so many different ways. I would defend my child probably the same way that Jalen's father is defending him. I would.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would, and I have a daughter, but I don't know if I would ever say, well, you know, and trust me, as parents, I mean, I'm not trying to tell on my daughter, but there's been times that she's frustrated me, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said, you know.
No. No.
You blanked up.
No.
But
no, I would never talk to my kids that way. But I just think that when you see the kid, and I can't believe I'm going to defend it because I've been, you know how I am. But the fact that he has tried his best, and I never said he had I just think he reached his ceiling. But to try his best for 2 years and for your dad to throw that out there, I just don't think I don't think that's cool, Ryan. And poor kid, I mean, he seems like a good kid. And he's the one at Alabama having to sort of hear about it because his dad had to come out and say something publicly. I don't know what's going on, but it's just really odd that he would do that now.
Well, and I know that his brother out here is defending him. His brother is saying, you don't believe everything that you read on the internet. And Bama Bo, I'm not trying to take up for Matt Hayes because we've had Matt on the show before, and I reached out to him today. He's not available. He's actually traveling in a plane. He's up in the air, but hopefully we can connect tomorrow. But when you look at this is not like, forget about the article. Throw the article away. If you just read the quotes, the words in the quote,
yeah,
it says all it needs to say. I mean, we can sit here and talk about the rest of the meat and potatoes if you'd like, but just the quote it says.
Yeah.
And I know that Jalen's brother's out here defending himself on Twitter, but I don't know if we could twist it in any way. I mean, because now if this was a young and up and coming reporter that was, at a high school paper,
yeah.
I mean, but this guy's probably been in the business 30 years, I would guess. It's a veteran college football.
And usually it's even if it was just a rumor, and I trust this article, but let's say it's just a rumor, most of the time it comes out and there's some truth to it, and that's what we were hearing with the buzz with Blake Barnett come out to be true. And now we were hearing kind of rumblings even before this. I think something's going to happen with this kid, and it's a real shame, but something's going on, and they're going to take their stuff and go home.
Sure.
And and we'll be without a backup quarterback, but you know what? We have before. We'll live as long as Tua can stay healthy.
Well, and I think this is probably what Nick Saban's calculating, at this moment or maybe at a later moment. How will he address this? Because at 5:30, he's going to be asked the question. Now, he can choose to have no comment and let this thing play out, but then that creates more assumptions and more guessing and all those different things. But Bama Bo, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I hope you have a great day. We appreciate your phone call. Let's go to Terry in Northport. Terry, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ryan. I'm on my cell phone, and I always hate to talk on this. I hope
you sound fine.
You can hear me.
You sound fine.
Good. Well, good. You just said that if it was your son, that you would probably defend him. But it's not, our job to give parenting advice.
Sure.
Well, I'm old enough that I think I can give some. Let me tell you something. If you would have defended your son like that, you would have been making a big mistake. And I think Jalen's daddy's made a big mistake because there's no positive that can come out of this. If Jalen wins the job, there's going to be people thinking, well, he just won it because his daddy threatened to transfer him, and that's going to split the team and the kids on campus, and it's going to make it harder on Jalen. If Jalen doesn't win the job, then they're going to say, well, it's because my daddy. It's because Daddy raised from Cain. And I just don't see anything good that can come out of it.
That's a great point, Terry, because even if Jalen goes out and he beats Tua Tagovailoa fair and square, there's people that's going to go back and reference this. You're right. That's a great comment. I've really thought about that, but that's fair.
Let me tell you just a real quick story about daddies and sons. When my son was about 8 or 9, he was playing baseball at a certain place. I won't say where, but he was great. He was one of the best players on the team. I was always able to help coach him. I was always one of the coaches. Well, I had some problems, and I had to have 2 back operations one year. Well, this one year I wasn't able to coach. All of a sudden, when All-Stars gets picked, now my son had made All-Stars every year, but then when I wasn't able to coach, he didn't make it. Now he wasn't any worse of a player, and my wife and I felt he was probably the second best player on the team, but he didn't get picked. Well, I rant and raved and all. Well, they go to All-Star. They go to this state thing up in Tennessee, and we get a call. One of our players has been hurt. Can your son come and fill in for us? And I said, sure, we'll be right there. So we packed up the kids and drove up there. The whole way up there, Ryan, well, they should have picked him in the first place. You know, why are they doing this? They're playing favorites. It's just because all they ever pick is the coach's sons and blah, 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 blah. We get up there, the first game, he sits on the bench the whole time. I am livid. I'm saying, you know, here he is, one of the best players, and he's sitting on the bench. I went up to the coach and said, you know what? If you're going to sit him on the bench, I'll just take him home. The next game, he plays him. My son strikes out all 3 times, gets a big old fly ball hit to him in center field, drops it. After the game, he gets in the car and is crying and says, Daddy, I'm sorry I let you down. I said, what? He said, Daddy, I'm sorry I let you down. I said, son, you didn't let me down. He said, well, I know you were wanting. I said, oh, man, I have messed up. And I told him I was sorry, and I went to that coach and said, look, I was wrong. You run the team like you want to. I said, look, I said, son, that was my prize. That wasn't yours. I was wrong. You just get out there and have fun. Played him the next day. He went like 3-4, made great plays. I should have never opened my mouth. All I should have done was supported my son, you know, told him good job, you know, but I should not have gotten involved. And Jalen's daddy getting involved like this in public, there is nothing good that I can see, you know, coming out.
Sure.
Out of it.
Great point.
Yeah.
Terry, thank you for sharing that story. I'll let you have the final thought.
Well, I just wanted to tell you, Ryan. Earlier this year, I didn't tell anybody, but I was really going through some pretty tough, stuff with my health. And one day, I got a text on Messenger on what is it called on
Twitter.
On Twitter, you had sent me a little message saying, Terry, I just haven't heard from you in a while. And Ryan, I can't think of anybody else in the world that would have done that. You don't know me from Adam's house cat, but that really meant the world to me, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Terry, for mentioning that.
All right, buddy.
Hope you're doing much better. I did reach out to Matt Hayes just a couple of minutes ago via the text message, and I thought it was it's always fair. We're always looking for the truth. We're never looking to fabricate anything. We reached out to Matt. We're going to try to get him on. We're not going to be able to do it tomorrow. He's on assignment. He said next week we're going to reconnect with there. But I did ask him, I said, would it be fair to ask you when you spoke to Jalen's father? He said last week. So that kind of negates the rebuttal that we talked about. It might be a counter to what Saban said on Saturday. So we could throw that out the window. I just wanted to give you that. I mean, literally, I got that 2 minutes ago, and I wanted to share that with you. So he spoke with Jalen's father last week. So this is not, even though, we'd kind of came up with the possibility of it being a counter move, but maybe it's not, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to report the facts and try to give you the information as we get it here. Let's go quickly here to Matthew before we go to Tony. Matthew, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ron, how you doing today, my man? I see you wide open, brother.
It is. We are wide open as a case now.
I heard that. I'm going to make this real quick, man. I'm traveling across the state of Missouri right now, but I heard somebody say a little while ago today, hope that the race card is not played here. And that's when I started dialing right then, because I want to tell you, man, the race card have already been played. And in fact, I heard some people playing it the night of the championship game. And here's what I really hate, Ryan, is I was hoping that thing would die there, but now that Jalen dad done poured a little gas on the fire, I think this thing is ready to get real ugly, and I hate it. But I just want to say this before I get off the phone. If anybody, like I told the person that played the race card tonight at the championship game, the comment was made that if it had been a white quarterback, he'd have never pulled him out the game. And the thing I told him was, well, you must don't know Nick Saban too well, because he don't care what color you are. And I'm a black man, and I can tell you, he don't care nothing about no race. And the thing I told this person to mention this to me was, if it was about race, then why Blake Barnett? Why didn't he get the job? You know, we just got to accept the fact that this is not about anything to do with no race, and it's about putting the best player on the field. And Tua Tagovailoa is a better player. I love Jalen, but Tua is a better. I mean, he's better, and we'd have lost the game if it wasn't for him. Ryan, I'm going to let you go. Keep up the good work, brother. Love you, man.
Thank you, Matthew. Great call. I appreciate you. Matthew's a big supporter of the program. I appreciate you for coming in and sharing your comments. Before we go to Tony, let me set up this Nick Saban audio because this was what he said about Jalen Hurts when asked about him on Saturday. This was Nick Saban's response.
You know, Jalen has done, I think, had a really good spring from the standpoint that, you know, we've really tried to focus on continuing to help him, you know, develop confidence in the passing game, and he has shown signs of being able to do that, and we want to continue to work on that. But he has done, you know, a really good job. I think sometimes, you know, you can't just think about making plays. You have to sort of make plays based on how they're designed, and have some faith, trust, and confidence that in the people that are playing with you. That if you go through your progression, that's going to give us the best chance to be able to make some explosive plays in the passing game. And when it breaks down, then you use your athletic ability to try to make up for it. So, but I think he's done much better at that this spring.
And so that's Nick Saban talking about Jalen Hurts. Let's go to Tony. Tony, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, that's pretty. How you doing?
I'm
Roll
great.
Tide, buddy.
I'm great. Thank you for calling in.
Well, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. Saban says so much with so little, doesn't he? I mean,
there's I could make a 4-hour show out of that one comment.
Couldn't you? Right there. I mean, it's just loaded with, you know, little nuggets if you're listening or whatever. But you know. I think, you know, he's not there. And what's wrong with Jalen right now in his level of play is his decision-making and his inability to let the play run out before he decides to go run. And that's exactly what he said. That's what they've been working with him on. He's getting better at that. And, you know, sometimes that's mental. You know, sometimes you get the weight of the world on you, and you come in as a true freshman, and next thing you know, you're starting for the number one team in the country, and you get to the championship game, and you make the big play, and everyone's going crazy, and yet you lose. And then the next year you come out. How do you top being SEC Freshman of the Year, offensive freshman? I mean, how do you top that performance? And I just can see how it can get tough on a player to perform at the level that he demands of himself to play at while not committing turnovers. You understand, Saban kind of created this monster. You know, he constantly talks about, you know, he wants every drive to end with a kick, right?
That's what he says, yeah.
So he's kind of created this monster. Now, all of a sudden, we're supposed to unleash Jalen. And, you know, I think his dad's comments are spot on. I think, you know what? He's a coach, right?
He is, yes, sir.
Okay. Have we ever heard anything from the coach? I mean, from Jalen's dad. Have we ever heard anything from him? Have you?
I have not. And matter of fact, Jalen was one of those, because we generally reach out to a lot of recruits, especially during the offseason. We love to feature these guys. We reached out to Jalen multiple times, and he did not want to do interviews at all. But it wasn't just us. He avoided the media in general when we talk about recruiting. And that's okay. I'll tell you another guy, Jonah Williams. He never did interviews. Never. Matter of fact, I don't think he went to even camps. He just avoided the media. And some of those players like that, and you have to respect those guys. We cannot judge them based on that.
Well, I think we're talking about a family that doesn't like microphones, I believe. Personally.
Well, then why did he allow Matt Hayes to come and talk with him?
Well, because how I read that, and I'm not hysterical about it at all. I think it's just laying down the facts, the cold hard facts. I think it's a motivational. It's desperate. It's either now or never for Jalen Hurts to be the quarterback at the University of Alabama.
That's fair, because if Saturday we come out of Bryant-Denny Stadium and we're all questioning, I mean, we're going to be out of rebuttals. We're going to be out of excuses.
It's
now or never, as you say.
I guess, or whatever you want to say there. And look, it seems to me that you've got a dad who loves his son, that knows his son, all he wants to be is the quarterback at the University of Alabama.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think that's all he's thought about. I don't think Jalen Hurts has thought about transferring. I don't think he's thought about anything. I think his mind is completely laser focused on trying to win that job. And I think it's the dad giving his son a little kick in the butt. Get out there and do it. Now, if you should fail, you've got options. You're a great quarterback. You've got options, but this is the time. Either you do it or you don't at the University of Alabama. And just because he's not named the starting quarterback at Alabama doesn't mean he would immediately transfer, because free agents can sign with the school that they're at, with the program, with the pro team that they're at. They become free agents. They can still sign and go back. And I think what he's saying is that you will have more options than anybody ever looking to transfer. So,
but is that really the case?
Yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? I think absolutely. Now, if he goes out, I'm going to tell you this, he goes out and stinks it up at A-Day, it's another discussion. I think if he goes out and stinks it up at A-Day, I think the discussion changes. Do you really want to play quarterback?
Well, according to his dad, he's already answered this question.
Well,
he's not an H-back. He's not a wide receiver. He's a quarterback, and he's not going to change positions.
You go out and flop at this A-Day, there's going to be a lot of people talking to him about changing his mind.
Well,
there's going to be a lot of people talking to him about changing his mind. Now, it doesn't mean he has to, and he can definitely transfer and go play at a high-level D1 program and probably walk right in. You may not be able to get into the top 10. Depends on how the quarterbacks look, but he can get it. You can definitely get in and win with him. And I'm just not sure you can win the national championship with him. But we came awfully close, and we got cheated out of that. But I don't think this is a threat by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. I think Jalen Hurts' dad called the guy, wanted to get the message out, probably told the guy when he would like it to be released, coming up on A-Day.
So this is the Thursday prior to A-Day. You make a great point, and that's why we love callers, because instead of one opinion for some of these talk shows, we get 30 opinions. And to me, 30 opinions is better than one opinion.
I'm with you. It's always somewhere in the middle. It rarely ever is it black or white, cut or dry. It's generally somewhere in the middle. So the more points of view you can get, the closer you can get to the truth, I think.
That's fair.
I appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Tony.
Buddy, and Roll Tide.
The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekday afternoons from 2 until 6. Only on Tide 102.9 and 100.9.